you're a Dodgers fan, today is going to really suck because we have a massive update on Gavin Lux, but I'm thinking there could be a silver lining in the Baltimore Orioles. Maybe they can help out the Dodgers. We'll talk about that in a second. Shintaro Fujinami, who used to be projected as a better pitcher than Shohei Ohtani, he made his little debut for the A's, and also Fernando Tatis Jr. I don't know how this is possible, but he played in a spring training game, so he can do that, but not in the World Baseball Classic. Make it make sense. Real quick, before we get into all the news, someone made a funny comment that baseball isn't back until Fuzzy promotes his SeatGeek code. So if you guys are going to any spring training games, use code Fuzzy for 20 bucks off on SeatGeek. Let's talk about a few fun things before we talk about Gavin Lux, his injury, as well as injuries to Aroldis Chapman and Seiya Suzuki. Yesterday, the Diamondbacks game ended in 2 hours and 4 minutes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that's a little quick. I like that baseball is not, treading in the wrong direction of going 4+ hours. But Aaron Judge, he actually saw some of these games that were ending in 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 4 minutes if you're talking about the Diamondbacks, and he said that he actually likes it. So Aaron Judge, the AL MVP, one of the faces, if not the face of Major League Baseball, he's giving a thumbs up to the pitch clock. So I don't know, maybe it's just something that we're gonna have to get used to as fans. Now here's something that we will never have to get used to, seeing baseball without umpires. I mean, unless the electronic strike zone comes and we have robot umpires. But yeah, the Orioles, they played an entire bottom of the 9th inning without umpires because technically the game was over because the winning team won in the top of the 9th, but then I guess they both talked to each other behind the scenes and said, hey, we're gonna get the work in and play the bottom of the 9th. But the umpire said, hey, we got a reservation at Chili's, we're out. And then I'm gonna go ahead and roll this clip right here, a home run from Emmanuel Valdez. Who does he look like? They call him Little Soto because he quite literally looks like Juan Soto in the batter's box. All right, let's talk about a few injuries across the game of baseball. Aroldis Chapman, he looks like he just fought a bear. He fell down the stairs apparently, and he had to get stitched up in his face, and he did make his debut for the Royals, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, he looked pretty nasty. So Chapman, he's gonna be all right. Now, one guy who is not gonna be all right for quite some time, Seiya Suzuki, he's having to pull himself out of the World Baseball Classic, and if you've ever hurt your oblique, it's kind of on the side towards your ribs. It is awful, especially when you're trying to swing a bat. Seiya Suzuki is gonna miss quite some time. And speaking of missing time, this is so, I'm devastated. I am a big time Gavin Lux fan. I thought that 2023 was gonna be the year that Gavin Lux gets handed the keys to the car. Trey Turner, he's gone. They traded away a guy named Jacob Amaya, who was an up-and-coming shortstop prospect for the Dodgers. They pretty much said, hey, Gavin Lux, you're gonna be our guy of the future, maybe with Miguel Rojas sprinkled in at shortstop every so often. Well, now it's gonna be every single day because Gavin Lux is gonna be out for the entirety of the 2023 season. He tore his ACL. I was hoping that maybe it was just a moment where he slipped and it was an ankle, or it was one of those moments where the cleat got stuck in the dirt, so it kind of made it look worse. But unfortunately, there is structural damage. He tore the ACL, so he's not going to be back until 2024 at the earliest, which is devastating because the Padres on paper are right there with the Dodgers, and now that Gavin Lux is out, I think the advantage in the NL West is the Dodgers. Did I just say the Dodgers or the Padres? I meant to say the Padres now that Gavin Lux is out. The Padres are the favorite. Now, before we talk about the Padres, because I do want to show Fernando Tatis Jr. making his spring debut, I do want to talk about how I think the Orioles can help out the Dodgers because the Orioles have so many young guys. Right now, you're probably watching a clip of Gunnar Henderson making a diving play over at third base. Their first overall pick, the son of Matt Holliday, Jackson Holliday, he is another middle infield prospect. So again, the Orioles, they can afford to lose a guy like Jorge Mateo, and Mateo, he could fit in nicely in Dodger Stadium with his speed and his defense. They're not going to rely on him for offensive prowess, but Jorge Mateo, he could be a guy that can hit 15 home runs and steal 30 bags and play elite defense. So if the Dodgers should reach out to anyone, I think the Orioles should be in their sights, and I believe a deal could happen, but maybe that's just a long shot, a pie in the sky idea. The Dodgers do have other pieces in play like CT3 Chris Taylor. He can play third when Max Muncy is playing second, so they can shuffle some pieces around. The Dodgers, they'll be fine, but that's just an idea. Jorge Mateo to the Dodgers. We might see it happen. I don't know. Now, because we talked about the Padres and the Dodgers, let's stick with the Padres real quick because Fernando Tatis Jr., he's out there swiping bags in spring training. And again, I don't really understand how this makes sense. How come he can play in Major League Baseball spring training games, but not in World Baseball Classic games, where his Major League Baseball suspension doesn't really have to do anything with the WBC, although on the WBC's ban list. I guess whatever Fernando Tatis Jr. took, that is on the ban list, so that's why he can't play. But then again, he's in spring training, so I don't get it. It's unfortunate that we're not going to be able to see Fernando Tatis Jr. in the WBC, but one guy that we can rely on, Shohei Ohtani, he is currently en route. He is flying private. He uploaded to his Instagram. I think his Instagram is a lot of fun because he doesn't really take it too serious. He's just out there as if his mom was taking photos. But we saw Ohtani face off against Shintaro Fujinami. I hope I said that right. And back in the day, these guys used to be compared to each other all the time. Fujinami was the more polished prospect, but we all know how that kind of worked out. I mean, to be honest with you, yesterday you could see how they're really dialing in on their splitter. It was pretty devastating for the both of them. I'm hoping that the A's can actually use this Fujinami guy to the best of their ability, because aside from all of the madness that is the Oakland Athletics, they are actually pretty good at developing pitchers. Chris Bassett, Sonny Gray back in the day, Sean Manaea was pretty good, Frankie Montas before his arm kind of fell off. So yeah, I really don't have any worries about Fujinami. He looks nasty, and I feel like he's going to be one really bright spot of Oakland. All right, let's talk about a few young guys real quick, and these are going to be some X factors in the American League East. So obviously, Wander Franco, you can see that he just went yard, and then you have Tristan Casas. He hit a home run for the Boston Red Sox. Both of these kids are going to be massive factors on whether or not their teams actually perform above standards or they play about their expectations. Now, one other guy, a lefty for the Blue Jays, Ricky Tiedemann, I think that's how you say his name. He absolutely throws gas from the left side, and all three of these guys, Wander Franco, Tristan Casas, and Ricky Tiedemann, or Tiedemann, again, if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me in the comments, but they should be making some noise in the AL East. Well, if we're talking about Ricky, that's only if Yusei Kikuchi continues to be one of the worst pitchers in baseball history. He'll probably fall out of the rotation, and then they'll give that spot to either Nate Pearson, who looks pretty solid in spring training, or Mr. Ricky. Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker, if you guys don't remember, these two were teammates back at Vanderbilt, and they pretty much owned college baseball. Now that they're teammates on the Texas Rangers, they threw for the first time in the same game for the first time since college. They both went one inning. They didn't allow a single run. I'm hoping that we can see both Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker in the same rotation as Jacob deGrom as soon as maybe the second half of 2023, or hopefully at the very latest, the beginning of 2024. Some other young guys I do want to go over real quick: Logan O'Hoppe of the Angels and Ezekiel Tovar of the Rockies. Just like Wander Franco, Tristan Casas, and the other young guys that we talked about, and Jack Leiter and Mr. Kumar Rocker. These are two young studs, Logan O'Hoppe and Ezekiel Tovar. These guys can make a difference for their clubs in 2023. So if you're in a fantasy draft and you need some kind of sleeper picks, Logan O'Hoppe, Ezekiel Tovar, they have all the talent in the world, and they're showing it in spring training. Guys, don't go anywhere, because we're going to go ahead and roll some home runs and some web gems, but that's going to do it for today's recap. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember, guys, save yourself 20 bucks off on SeatGeek using code Fuzzy if you're going to any spring training games or planning ahead. Thank you all so much for watching, and enjoy the clips.
Over his shoulder, waits on another pitch, and he hits one into left center field, waits on the first pitch. He swings and hits one into center field. That one is gone. Back-to-back home runs for the Cardinals.
Good selection with the food trucks there. Line drive to left center. Ruiz goes into a dive. Esteori Ruiz robbing O'Hoppe of extra bases. And
deep right field. Dak is eaten. He won't get this one. Out of here for Josh Bell.
Looking at one.
Could be Coney, I know, plays golf. O'Neal.
Oh, what a play. And Alexander somehow